was going down upon. Squatties manning checkpoints got an eyeful. John driving between shows and May's frack, woolly hat and nylons.
Stop the soldiers, you know. Hello. You know, and then what the... And I said, what have you in the boot? I said, my foot. Oh, that out. And I came, there's always an IUC patrol with them, you know. That's my liver load, should be all right, you know. Go ahead, mate, thank you, son. He says, what the hell is that? You can hear them talking, scratching their heads and everything. Always funny.
You've been listening to Jackie's Jazz and Blues on Downtown Radio. See you again next Friday. Take care.
Top DJ Jackie Flavelle will never forget one time he was stopped by the UDR.
I was invited to this Christmas party in town, which I didn't want to miss. So, against all the rules, I recorded the last 2 hours of the show and stuck it on the tape machine, drove into Belfast, and as I'm crossing the Queen's Bridge, I got stopped by a UDR patrol. Went down the window, ID, handed over my driving licence, and the squatty took a look at it, and he had the gun resting in the window, and he went, Jackie Flavelle? And I went, yeah. He says, Jackie Flavelle, the DJ? And I went, yeah. And he went, I'm effing sure you're not. And he put the gun up to my head. The boys were listening to the programme over in the Land Rover and presumed that I was broadcasting live. It's as close I ever came to being shot.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife.
It was 1974, the year Loyalist strikers tried to paralyse Ulster. It was also the year when this polar bear bared its teeth at crack British troops and almost paralysed them with fear. Here are the bare facts.
It was a lovely autumn afternoon when we got the phone call from the zoo. Do you want a polar bear, David? They said. Well, of course we wanted a polar bear because there's lots of evidence for bears in Ireland, but we didn't have one. When we got to the zoo, we took pictures of the animals still alive, and then we said to them, right, can you put it down? So they used the proper humane method. They shot darts at it. But it took a lot more darts than we thought it was going to take. Eventually, the city vet said, well, he's dead now. And we got round this very large board and lifted him into the back of the van. Belfast at that time wasn't a nice place to travel about with a van. There were roadblocks everywhere.
Can I see your licence, please? Out.
Oh no, officer, it's not what you think. We're from the zoo.
No talking up against the van and spread them.
I thought my end was up there.
You're safe now, mate. We caught your captors red-handed.
No, you don't understand. There's a bear in there and it's alive.
A bear?
Yeah, a big white polar bear.
You've been drinking?
No, I'm sick.
Hey, check out the back of the van there, mate.
I swear to God.
What in the name of God's that?
I told you. We're bringing a dead polar bear to the museum to get it stuffed.
He's not dead.
It is. Dead or alive, rather you than me. Now get the hell out of here.
But bear with me. The museum's twitchy night watchman gets nosy. He peeks in to check the polar bear really is titty bred, dead, and a wee twitch scares the living daylights out of the night watchman.
Then a hilarious chain of events started. They tried to contact me and couldn't get me. They tried to get Joe Gracie, the city vet, and couldn't get him, but they talked to his wife and they told her there was a live polar bear in the museum. She tried to contact him, couldn't get him, so she contacted the police. So they put out an all-points bulletin for Joe Gracie, city vet, to come and deal with a rampaging polar bear in the Ulster Museum. And that was a quiet night in Belfast, so the international press were all sitting in the Europa Hotel listening to their police band. And all of the international press arrived at the Ulster Museum. I had the Washington Post, Le Monde, Le Figaro. They were all there.
All my daughters and my wife, they were very upset, and my wife wanted...
The late, great Jerry Fitt, and it was during the 1980s when a mob broke into the house and stormed up the stairs. The first soldier in to rescue Jerry was a big black squatty. And Jerry says to him, "Where did you come from, son?" The soldier says, "Barbados." And Jerry says, Jizz, son, you got here a hell of a lot quicker than any of them peelers from round the corner in the North Queen Street barrack. The Belfast Europa, the most bombed hotel in the Western world. It's 1992 in the Europa, but a bomb scare turns the Miss Northern Ireland final into a bummer, as pageant boss Alison Campbell recalls.
We had rehearsed all day, the girls had been there all day, everything was going swimmingly. The girls were backstage getting ready to go on.
I still think I put in lip gloss my teeth.
The cocktail reception was happening with all the VIPs and the judges on the first floor of the Europa, and one of the managers came over and said, we have to evacuate, there's a bomb scare and we can't take any risks. You can imagine with girls in bikinis and lipsticks and hairspray and everything backstage. When I think back now, it was quite funny with the girls tripping out through the foyer in their bikinis and, you know, pulling coats and things around them. Working and living in Belfast, you were well used to being evacuated, and being in the Europa, which was obviously the most bombed hotel in the world. We would obviously hope it wasn't going to happen, but it did, and hopefully we can smile about it now. And we had a great winner as always.
I was down getting something in a chemist in Sandy Row. But as I was standing in queue, the woman in front of me said, "Have you anything for the helicopters?"
Two friends of mine in the height of the Troubles were driving through the countryside and were stopped by an army checkpoint. And the English squatty asked him, "And tell me, sirs, what are your names?" And the first one said, "My name's Curry." And his mate said, "My name's Rice." And you ought to seen the look on the soldier's face when he thought he was taking the piss out of him. So quick the two of them out of the car.
This guy was pinned down with a number of other people at some kind of barricade or something. And there was bullets come from here, there, everywhere, God knows where. And it was really serious. These guys were, I'm going to get killed here. And there's one guy, as they say, had a number of battles in him. So the army's firing away at people. He's saying, God knows who's firing. There's bullets coming from everywhere. So he gets up and he says, "Go on, shoot us all, you bastards!" And there's an awkward silence. And then this wee voice came from the other side. "Speak for yourself."
So recognize your age, it's a teenage rampage. Turn another page on the teenage rampage now.
I'm in the heart of Belfast, Loyalist Sandy Row. It was 1974 during the Loyalist workers' strike. A lorry was hijacked here. And that wee incident was to prove, once and for all, that not only where there's smoke there's fire, but where there's fire there's smoke, and a lot of it.
Look, Commander, we were thinking this strike could go on for weeks, and we're not even going to get our brew. So why don't we take whatever's in that lorry, stash it down the Linfield Road, and then light that on fire?
This is a disciplined organisation. There'll be no looting.
He said no disciplined looting. He says you can do it yourself, well.
Right then, I'll lead by example, will I?
See, the big lorry wasn't full of TVs, microwaves, or fridges. It was full of Sonny Jim firelighters. Throughout the Troubles, the media not only covered many dangerous incidents, we also got caught up in a few. But getting KO'd was one thing. Getting caught up at the OK Corral in Ballynahinch was quite another.
Ballynahinch in the late 1980s, at the height of the rerouting controversy. There was a tradition that loyalists would have a few drinks, then make their way round the town of Ballynahinch into this little cul-de-sac where a number of Catholic families lived. There they would hurl abuse and stones and break windows and then make their way off again. Well, this year, the security forces decided that would not be allowed to happen. So they put 2 rows of vehicles at the top of the cul-de-sac, Land Rovers and Saracens and hundreds of police and soldiers. We were at the bottom of the cul-de-sac, where we quickly realised that between us and the oncoming mob of loyalists was only about